broadcast schedule. So we'll go topic to topic and take a break in between. It's very casual and fun, and we encourage questions, good commentary.
Yes.
They're smart. They have great fellas.
Smart is still under review.
We'll be here about 2 hours. The hot stove keeps making you fabulous breakfast. You're welcome to get up and stretch, walk around. The restrooms are there, 25 minutes of code. Anything you want to know before we start?
Hello, YouTubers. We're live on YouTube right now. Hello. Good morning, everybody.
They're looking very handsome this morning, aren't they? Maybe they're a big brewer. Oh, good.
You look nervous.
I know. Who makes a coffee? Well, people take their coffee very seriously. Oh, good. I went yesterday. There's a new coffee shop in town that is working with adaptogenic mushrooms. So there's this cool woman, Jody Hall, who was with Starbucks for a long time. And actually, I ran into her and posted at the original Dahlia Lounge. I was at Red Hook at the time, and with Starbucks, we made a beer with stout in it, double black stout, that we worked with Jody Hall. Now, then she went on to open Cupcake Royale, the Good Shit Cannabis Company, and now she's got this crazy, mystical, magical mushroom and coffee shop. It's pretty great. So I would say
there aren't many magical mushrooms our hippie Pamela hasn't tried.
and how do you make your coffee like good double whammy? Get up there. It's called Wonderground. Wonderground. Yeah, I know the name. Sean, our director, technology director, had been there and just remembered the crazy graphics because she has this huge installation of a fallen tree because she cultivates her mushrooms on trees or something. So it's this huge tree, and then there's mushrooms coming out down in the soil, and they're all knitted. It's crazy.
Wow.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning,
Terry.
Pamela.
Good morning, Pam.
Good morning.
In case you're wondering, I'm wearing this little oxygen thing. I'm diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis. So I have to wear this little thing and get some oxygen while I'm talking, because talking I do very well. And
Yes.
a lot of it. So a lot of air comes out.
Yeah, he could run a mile and not need that machine, but when he talks, he's toast.
By the way, it's not painful. It's just need more oxygen. That's all. Eventually, I'll need some new lungs. So if you know anybody who's, got some in the attic, time to take them out.
Remember, they used to have those iron lungs, right? People would lose their lung capacity.
Oh,
They
yeah.
don't still have iron lungs.
They're
do
not
they?
too mobile.
And pretty heavy to carry
Yeah,
around.
your jetpack's a little more efficient.
Oh, yeah.
Should we all just stand up for a second and do a little stretch? This is hard business. This radio business. Any golfers in the room? Yeah, I had my first hole-in-one 2 weeks ago.
You had your first hole in one?
50 years of playing golf, and I had my first hole-in-one. 165 yards, 6 iron.
6 iron, and what hole?
The good news, I put the flag and I put the ball and my scorecard all in my golf bag, which then yesterday was stolen out of the back of my car.
No.
Oh, boo.
So the bad news through the windmill. Yeah. The bad news is my golf clubs cost $4,700 when you include the bag and the little golfy knickknacks that we have. My deductible is $5,000.
I thought it was 47.50. That would have been even better.
They said, you know what they said? You're on the golf clubs. We'll pay for the $900 window. What golf course? A little course called Kohana Iki on the north side of Kona Airport there on the Big Island.
What hole was it?
What does it matter?
Just in case I go there, I'm going to look at it going, really?
You know, they have a little sign right at the tee box with all the little plaques of the guys who got, or ladies or whoever got hole-in-ones. And so I go to the pro. I said, when can I expect to see my plaque? And he says, I don't remember that you're a member here.
Oh.
I said, I'm not, but I was with the member over. Yeah. All in all, it did not live up to my expectation of getting my first hole-in-one. And here's the other thing that happened. This is the last part of my sad story. Here's this beautiful swing. I look over to the four guys I was playing with. Everyone on their phone. What a bunch of jerks. I saw it, though.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Charlie Billow. I mean, you know, Paul
Yeah.
Ellingson. Yeah. Jerks. No respect.
Hey, how do you get respect around here? Definitely not a hole-in-one.
This is Tom teaching Rory golf.
That would be Hercules. Thank you.
Double trouble.
And then can we have a moment to turn to your left and cherish my mother's stove? She passed in August, left me her stove of 70 years.
Wait, did you put a picture there? What's the picture?
Bought it in 1952 for $225. They put it on a 10-year payment plan.
On the 10, seriously, 10 years?
Yeah.
Did you really say that 10 years?
10-year payment plan, $225.
$22 a year.
1952. They went on to have 8 children. There's a good reason for the payment plan.
Right,
Yeah.
$22 a year.
But yeah, 70 years, and many, many of those years cooking for 10 people, 3 meals a day on it.
You didn't even see that. Yeah, Grandpa, get your glasses on.
I could lose a little weight, don't you think?
Oh.
Hercules! Not unlike Terry, I liked her beef stew. He loves his mom's pot au feu. You know, it's double oven, double broiler. So she made a lot of cheesecakes for my birthday and all that kind of stuff. You know, the Kraft cream cheese with the sour cream on top.
The best.
Yeah. Okay, shall we? All right, let's get started here. Pamela did say that she...
What?
Welcome to the Hot Stove Society Show on Cairo Radio.
Yay!
We have a live audience here this week. This is the Hot Stove Society Kitchens in downtown Seattle, based on the second floor of the Hotel Andra, the beautiful hotel that is right at 4th and Virginia, across the street from the old Dahlia Lounge. Now it's Serious Pie downtown, Dahlia Bakery. And we have lots going on here. If you ever want to see our class schedule, just go to hotstovesociety.com. We have, I think Annie's going to be on later. She's doing a bow class. Is that right?
She does. Yep. She's gonna tell us all about it. She makes bao dough do amazing things.
There you go. That's that's the voice of
Exactly.
Pamela Hinckley, our producer. Sean is here today on technical. And of course, Sean Dottori is back in the studio trying to put this mess together into a decent show.
Doing a
And bonjour,
beautiful
Tom.
job.
Bonjour, Chef Thierry in the
How you
chapeau.
doing today?
I am doing fantastic.
You raised a lot of money this week for Turkey and Syria.
We raised some money this week.
Some money?
Yeah. We had a benefit yesterday along with a bunch of, I think, 60 other restaurants here in Seattle to help raise some funds for the earthquake relief efforts that are going on over there. And it is tragic.
Yeah.
Tragic. I just looked this morning. It's 48,000 people dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just tragic.
And they're in the cold. Imagine if you were outside right now.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be hard to do since I just came from the outdoors.
Right. But imagine if you had to stay there
Yeah.
all day and all night. You know?
Sitting there waiting for them to dig out your relatives. No fun. And I'm sorry for that whole process. But anyway, we raised a few bucks thanks to those folks who came to the restaurants here on Wednesday, the 22nd, and 20% of what everyone spent was going to earthquake relief for both Syria and Turkey. Today, we're going to get into a good show here. Muffins worth getting up for. Are there really?
There are.
I mean, getting out of a warm bed?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have some ideas on this?
I sure do.
Okay, I'm looking forward to hearing what that could possibly
I can't
be.
wait. It's going to change my mind.
We're going to weigh in on the TikTok craze. You know, Pamela, you are of an age. I'm not going to tell people your age, but your fascination with TikTok is a bit surprising to me.
Oh, it's false.
What do you mean?
I don't have a fascination for
The whole,
it.
the whole show is based on TikTok,
Just
including this goofy thing that you're going to have us do later with cheese and pickles. I can hardly wait for that. Unleash your creativity with vinegar infusions. And Chef, we're going to look to you for advice on this because every year at Christmas time, I happen to get a little this and that in my bag from you, and it always contains an infused vinegar.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, vinegars are good. They're
Vinegars
good
are
for you, for sure.
I think you use vinegars in a way that most people in this country don't. And I'm looking forward to hearing that where you use it maybe in some savory ways other than salad dressings.
Right.
Yeah. So, and Pamela puts them in her like juices and drinks and
Mhm.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
apple cider vinegar.
Why wait for kombucha when you can just add vinegar?
We're going to make some pork chops today. We're going to talk about using anchovies for your umami flavors. I use anchovy paste in so many things people wouldn't expect. And it's sometimes I have to stop myself because I have a vegetarian coming. It's like, oh God, I can't use my favorite umami ingredient. So we're going to talk about how anchovies work that way. Annie Elmore, the director here, is going to talk about bao dough. We think about it like being the humbao that you get at the dim sum restaurant, but you can do all sorts
So
of
many
things.
things.
Yeah.
It's so versatile.
Kind of like pizza. It's like
I
pizza
thought she was
dough.
going to make pizza. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, she's going to make bao pizza. That's going to be awesome.
She might. Who's to say? She's a feisty one. She could do all sorts of things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She will.
And lastly, of course, we're going to finish the show with our food for thought tasty trivia brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs, the tasty treats that we make right out there in our warehouse in Ballard. First up for me is I have a bunch of guys. Have a golf trip in May to Scotland with a bunch of guys, and we have our planning dinner at my house on Friday. I was trying to think of what I was going to make for dinner.
Shh, don't tell them no.
Well, I'm
What
sure.
is it?
I'm sure they're not listening. Well, I put at Thanksgiving, I put a quart of turkey stock and a quart of turkey gravy in the freezer that were left over. I'm going to make hot turkey sandwiches. When's the last time you had one of those?
I can't remember.
No, it's feeling cold right now.
Yeah.
It's not junk food. You might even try it.
No, I would love that, but I just don't remember last time I had a hot
Yeah.
turkey sandwich.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Make hot turkey sandwiches with the last of the peas from Prosser Farm.
Cheese?
Last of the corn from Prosser. I'm making a little succotash.
Succotash on the side.
This is like right off the cover of a Denny's menu.
I was going to say Alice Water, but no, I guess
No,
not. Huh?
no, no. They're going to be so surprised. They're going to expect something chefy, and I'm just going to.
With
Let 'em down like that.
big glasses of Nebbiolo or
Yes.
or
And then what's the cheese?
What's the cheese?
You're
There is
gonna
no
put cheese on the turkey sandwich.
No, I'm making mashed potatoes.
Oh, okay.
It's not a sandwich. Chef,
You
chef.
said sandwich.
I understand, but come on, audience, tell them what it is. It's
Open
toasted
face.
buttered bread, really nicely toasted, hot, warm turkey on top,
Okay.
gravy.
Yeah.
It's open face. It's like a tartine. See, if I had said tartine,
Oh,
You
now I
would
would
have
have
known.
understand what you meant.
it's like a turkey tartine.
Why can't you speak French like everybody else?
Exactly. It's like a turkey tartine. Anyway, that's going to be my taste of the week because I know the gravy is fantastic. Fantastic because you know why?
Because you're a gravy god.
Yes, that is true.
GG.
No matter what the listener that wrote me and said, you are no god.
Right. He was wrong.
They were wrong.
They were wrong.
I'm a gravy god. Okay, chef, what's your taste of the week?
I went to a place called Camoneji. Have you been there before?
Sure. Bet.
Delicious. What's that location called? It's between Ballard and Wallingford. What is
Yeah.
that called?
Ballard Wallingford.
Okay. Kamoneji, a very delicious restaurant. A few highlights: the duck ball yakitori was delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, very well made duck meatball, and very beautiful texture on the duck meatball, and of course a beautiful broth with that. That was so delicious, and of course I don't know how they made it exactly, but
Were they
It
some of her
reminded me of-
handmade noodles in there?
yeah, soba noodles.
Oh.
But it reminded me on the side. The soba noodles are on the side, but it reminded me of a beautiful duck consomme with some duck meatballs in it.
Uh-huh.
It was absolutely delicious. The flavor was fantastic, and it's a cute little restaurant, very small. It's where the art of the table used to be. The first art of the table used to be before they moved 5 or 6 years ago, and but it's got maybe 20 seats at most.
I know it's very tiny. One of our good friends, Bruce, is kind of does.
And he
some-
was there.
He
Was
was
he?
there.
Yeah, Bruce was there.
You posted a cute picture
Yeah.
with
He was there.
Soma.
Yeah.
And
Bruce Miara, he was there. But it was nice to see everybody, and delicious little restaurant. I just wanted to give them a plug.
Kamonega. She's up for a James Beard Award, I believe,
Yeah.
this year. Is
Yeah.
one of the finalists, or
Absolutely. And but the soba noodle
Nominated.
too, absolutely delicious. Cold broth, soba noodle, wasabi on the side.
uh-huh.
Was super fantastic.
Good. Well,
I
I'm glad you
recommend
had
it.
fun. Last night when I invited you to dinner with me, he said, no, it's I'm too tired and blah blah blah. Then to come in today and find out he went to Kamonegi.
No, I didn't, no. That
it's
wasn't.
just,
No, hold on one second.
I'm not
That wasn't
really sure
last
what to
night.
think. When we come back, it's Rise and Shine. The wide world of muffins include easy and sweet and savory recipes. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
It wasn't last night. It was a week ago. Last night I had monsoon to go.
nice.
It was closer than I was trying to get to the barbecue. Try that, but
Stayed in the neighborhood.
well, no. I was trying to get here, but because you were on, it was on all the name of the restaurant participating.
Edda's was?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
So I was like, oh, they're opening on a Wednesday. Cool.
Nope.
It wasn't.
How was that for an opening show? You feel like you got the gist of things? You can talk amongst yourselves. You can do whatever you want to do. All right.
Pretty easy.
You guys have any questions? Okay, keep them to yourself. Just kidding. No, if you have any questions, just tell Pam.
Sometimes we get some questions from our YouTube watchers too. So
Near where?
Lumen Field, they're going to the Sea Dragon the XFL football game on this Saturday night, is it? Something like that.
Where is that?
Lumen Field is right
Oh,
down.
Lumenfield.
Yeah.
I heard
And
Newman.
Sea
I was
Dragons
like,
are
what
the
is
new
it?
Seattle spring football team.
Restaurant down there?
I would go personally Tai Tung. It seems
I would
like
go
it
every
seems
time.
like Bruce Lee is kind of their idol there, and Fist of Fury, Enter the Dragon. Come on, might as well go right.
They're showing it while you're eating.
No, but he is the star of those movies.
Yeah.
Enter
Yeah.
the Dragon. You're going to go see the Sea Dragons? Come on, Tai Tung.
Really?
Well, there you go. Uh-huh.
Oh. All right.
There you go. And say hi to Harry Chan when you're down there.
Yeah,
If you-
exactly.
Say Tom Douglas. And I have my picture in there. You can just go up and give me a little kiss on the cheek. Say hi. My picture's on the wall right next to Bruce Lee. Not
It's
really.
it's called Twins.
He and I were physically very similar.
On the inside.
My fist action might be a little
You,
quicker.
it's on the inside.
Yeah, in my head. In my head. All right, here we go. It's time to rise and shine here in the Hot Stove Society Show. Pamela Hinckley, our producer, says that there are some muffins in the world that are worth getting out of bed for. And while I might argue with you, I don't have a problem getting out of bed. But if you could get my wife out of bed, that would be an amazing thing.
I'll make her one of these.
Yeah, and you don't even like breakfast.
No, I don't.
So where do these things come from you? I know you love that little coffee stand up on 85th.
Oh,
Is this where
preserve
you-
and gather.
Yeah, is this where you
This is
get
the
your
best.
inspirations for segments like this? Do they have a
Yes.
great morning muffin?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a classic take on the morning muffin. It's really
Like
grainy,
a granola muffin, like
Yeah.
bran muffin?
grainy, and it's got some orange peel in it, and it's
So
a
sweet
what kind of
muffin.
peel?
sweet
Orange.
orange peel.
That's, like,
I
that's
think I
our
should say
Connecticut.
orange.
That's our Connecticut producer coming out.
I
right
know
there.
it's orange. It's an O. It's orange.
And it honey
not
honey
an A.
sweetened, so I like those, but I really like a carrot cake based one too.
Yeah, me
I
too.
think I could do that for Jackie. But
Sure.
the one that caught my eye was a spiced gingerbread with maple glaze.
You know the one that caught my eye
What?
was charcoal roasted corn and ham hock muffin.
Yeah.
Well, those
Smoked
are
ham hock
I
muffin.
think
this
when
is
you-
this is more
Let's
my
see,
cup
you
of tea
could
too.
have a little granola muffin, or you could have a charcoal grilled corn and ham hock muffin.
Yeah, I think
the
savory-
egg
savory.
and cheese recipes kind of dominate right now. So you're
On TikTok, your favorite?
No,
your favorite.
you're on trend. This was all in Food and Wine.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know about the cheese, but I do know about the egg and the muffin. Savory in the morning sounds delicious.
What do you mean, chef? So we're talking about muffins. What are you suggesting, that you put an egg in your muffin?
Mhm.
Tell me about it.
I would put the egg. I would cut the muffin and then I would put the egg
Oh,
in it.
oh, oh. So you make a muffin like an
Oh.
English muffin you're talking about.
Right, but savory. A savory muffin,
Okay, keep talking.
and then I would put the egg in it. I would sunny side up an egg, and I would put it in it and eat the whole thing like this, runny, because I like my eggs runny.
You like them really soft.
Mm.
Well, this
I know many
think that
people are
we're in
going.
we're in a
Many people are
different.
going. Oh my god, that sounds gross.
We're in a different. I think we're in a different world. You would never do that with like a rise and shine muffin, the one that Pam's talking about. Like it's a brand muffin.
I know, but
You're talking about English muffins where you
right,
split
more
them in half,
English, but
toast them.
savory. I would do. No, I don't like sweet muffin or sweet things in the morning like that.
So we're gonna leave him out of this segment then.
No. Hey, hold on one second. You talking about savory? I mean,
I know, but the difference is like a English muffin is a bread,
right?
and then you make it savory by putting herbs on it or blah blah blah. We're
Right.
talking about muffins like come out of a muffin tin,
Right.
that like a corn muffin or a that I would then turn my corn muffin, because when I make corn in the summertime, I always take my extra corn, char it on the charcoal grill,
Right.
take it off the ear and put it in the freezer so I can use it in cornbread or
Got it.
whatever. And so what I was suggesting is when you're making a corn muffin, all you got to do is add a few little pieces of smoky ham hock to it, some pepper jack cheese, and you have a delicious savory corn muffin,
I'm with you.
which is
Yeah.
different than where we were headed
Correct.
with the English muffin.
Correct.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that.
I have another direction.
Um,
All right.
This recipe is called Rebel Within. And
Rebel.
Rebel Within muffin.
Okay.
So the technique is to make a 4-minute soft yolk separately, and then you make your batter with whatever
You put that
seasonings you
inside.
want. And so you start with the batter in, and then after you get your 4-minute egg, you cool it down. in a
Just the
water
yolk or the
bath.
whole egg?
The whole egg.
Okay.
And then you build it into the batter
Uh-huh.
and make a base, put the egg in.
Soft poached egg inside the muffin.
Inside the muffin.
Now, see, this is exactly up my
Dude.
alley. I would definitely eat
You
that.
would do that.
I would love.
Doesn't the
gooey-
yolk cook when a muffin cooks?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
why you start low with
Right.
only 4 minutes center. So it's
Uh-huh.
got more room to cook
Okay.
when it's in the batter.
It's barely coagulated, so it can hold and
I see.
Yeah.
put it in. Yeah, no, of course.
You
That would
got
be
the
delicious.
concept.
Oh, that would be delicious.
And what kind of batter are you putting around this egg?
It's a pretty traditional flour baking powder, sour cream. This one had some maple syrup and shredded cheddar.
Do you know what would be good in that
Sounds
egg?
fantastic.
Some shaved truffle. That would be delicious. When you crack that muffin, you'd have that beautiful nose of truffle coming out, and that gooey. Oh,
Where's
oh yeah,
the
bacon would also be definitely part of it.
Well,
Oh, I
that's yeah, chef. I'm sure you are correct. Once again, truffle is good on anything.
Right, but some places it belongs better than others.
Mhm.
I think
Well-
with an egg like that.
I think truffle and eggs are a magical combination.
Right.
I don't know why that is.
Well, the richness of the yolk and then the fact that the white can take any flavor, those
Uh-huh.
two things combined makes it really perfect for the truffle.
Uh-huh.
Because you don't want something too strong for the truffle.
Did you do a muffin for Dahlia Bakery?
We do, and they tend to be seasonal in nature or that rise and shine style, which is basically a morning bran muffin to get your system going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Churn it all up.
Turn it all up, take a walk afterwards, and then disappear.
And also good picked blueberry, fresh local blueberry, and I mean fresh frozen, because I have plenty in my freezer still. That's also a good addition to those muffins. Even if you do them savory, you can put a few blueberries in there. Not too many. Don't want it to be soaking wet, but to just add those little bite of, tanginess into your muffin.
You know what I find interesting about the TikTok craze is you're starting to see things. When I first started cooking, I used to kind of break the rules a bit and do things that would make chef crazy, the way I thought about it, or this or that. And
not everything worked.
When I read about like in your presentation here, Pam, things like muffin tin. You're seeing a lot of this where they take traditional kitchen tools or ingredients and try and cook them in a different way because it's a TikTok thing. And so this one here that you put in here, a muffin tin turkey meatballs
Those
with
were
garlic.
so cute.
Oh my God. With garlic, mashed potatoes, and deep dish pizza muffins. Yeah. So I understand that it's interesting that it's in a muffin tin, but it's really, you could do it without the muffin tin. You could do all that.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's the photograph-ability.
It's like
The
trying to
cuteness.
find, what am I going to do with my melon baller? And then you just think of things and put it on TikTok.
Meatballs. Melon meatballs.
Well, a lot of the writing about muffins is making a batch so you have snacks for the week.
So you can
Whether
freeze them
they're
and then just retherm
Yeah,
them. Or
whether
whatever.
they're sweet or savory, the portability of them, that they function like a little hand snack, hand
Mhm.
pie.
So you pre-bake
It-
them all, or do you
Yeah.
actually bake every day?
pre-bake them
Pre-bake them
all.
all.
When I've tried to save muffin batter, especially any sort of baking powder batter, it
Right.
just does
Because
not
it won't,
save
it won't
well.
last. Yeah,
No.
it won't make as good.
No, you got to bake them off.
So the one that I found the most interesting of your suggested ones was the gingerbread, because
I know.
I love my gingerbread recipe in big dinners and with the butternut squash on the top. But you can put anything on top. So this one has a maple glaze. So you make the gingerbread and do you glaze it when it comes out, or is it a turn out upside down kind
Glaze
of?
when it comes out.
Okay.
And then you put some toasted pecan on top of that.
Oh, that'd be magic.
Because it seems to me like if you put the caramel and the pecans in the bottom of your muffin tin and then put
That would be like so yummy.
the only question is,
It won't rise the
will you get it out of the tin? It has to be a pretty good nonstick muffin tin for that.
I love this. It stays in the tin. You eat in the tin.
I know. So much for that idea. Or you could cut little parchment rounds to put at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would help. Looks like our audience is getting their breakfast already. Wow, this is early. You guys must have put in. Did you tip Eamon a lot of money to get your breakfast early? Nice job. When we come back, we're going to get saucy with pork chops. Pork chops are my wife's favorite meal. Roast chicken, pork chops. They kind of go back and forth. It's her two. We always talk about dishes that you own. She owns those two dishes in her head. Roast chicken and pork chops. So
Good for her.
Yeah. Let's talk about that when we get back on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Thank you, Chef.
That looks pretty good. Very nice. No, thank you.
Très bon.
What?
Très, très bon.
Oh, Trey Bowman. It's the challenge every week to make you happy and to love the texture.
No, I love
No,
this.
Eamon and Annie take it very seriously.
I understand. Those mushrooms are good. Eggs too slightly. So
Carrot cake muffins.
You know what? I used to work at a place called the Magic Muffins. Swear to God, when I was in school, and they did a strawberry cream cheese.
Oh yes,
It was back in the day where they would cut them in half.
great alone.
All right.
Hey, let's get ourselves into some pork chops here on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo. We've been here for many, many years. We're coming to you from the Hotel Andra.
We've been here for many, many years, all right.
I have restaurants that have opened and closed in the amount of time that we've been on this radio show.
I've opened a Lifetime restaurants and closed them as well during this radio show.
So I'm not exactly sure how many years it is, but Pamela, you've been doing the show for a year and a half now?
Yep.
Yeah, a year and a half or so, it seems like.
Got to catch up to you guys.
Good luck.
Good luck, yeah. You're going to have to live 2 lifetimes.
Yeah.
I think we say the show's 22 years old.
22 years old. I know that it got started one day when the producer or their producer called and asked if I would sit in for Dave Ross. He was on vacation. Would I consider sitting in for Dave Ross for a day?
Wow.
A live 3-hour show, just like out of the blue.
How'd it go?
Well, they asked me to come back the next day. And at the end of the week, they asked me if I wanted my own show.
Wow.
Isn't that
That's a
crazy?
happy story.
It's a long time ago. That's, Cairo, like every radio station, has program directors. You're like our director, right? But they have program directors. I think there's been 6 since we started doing our show. Because it's, TV and radio, they get pushed out if the ratings aren't quite there.
Yeah.
But luckily, our ratings have been good over the years, thanks to all of you listeners. And they don't make any money on weekends anyway. So. Unless the Seahawks game is on, then they make a lot of money.
And that's where we go back to pork chops.
Yes, sir. So when you're in the grocery store
Yes.
and you go to buy pork chops and you see that sign where they charge a little extra money for center cut pork chops, what do?
I walk further up and I go, I want the other one, the one towards the end of the rack.
Right.
I'm a big fan of the no bones, what do you call those towards the end of the rack? Where
They're on the blade end.
On the
and
blade,
they're,
yeah.
They're the, what some people call the country style pork ribs.
Right.
Pork.
When I go back to France and when it's warm days, that's one thing that my mom's usually makes. Those thin pork chops, they're totally soaked into Dijon mustard, rosemary, thyme, and then throw those on the grill. And they grill so fast and so quick and so beautiful. So it's thin, so it cooks very fast, and the heat, crusts the mustard a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Those pork chops are just
that kind of pork chop you really want to get from the blade end or the butt end. They call it. We call it pork butt. It's the same roast that you would roast for pulled pork sandwiches or something,
right.
But it's much more marbled. It's a darker colored meat.
It's got a nice little.
So when you look at a pork loin, especially a boneless pork loin, it's just this kind of light pink meat, no bones. When they take the bones off the pork loin, you know what bones they're taking off?
The blade.
The baby back ribs.
Yeah.
Right? Which is everyone's favorite is the baby back ribs. So why would you buy a pork chop without them?
Right. Plus,
Okay.
meat
I'm
on
just saying.
the closer to the bone,
Yeah.
the better
whatever.
the meat.
So when you're looking at pork chops in the case under the plastic wrap, you don't have a lot of choices or a lot of ability to change what it is in the wrap. So you got to go with your eyes to see and so when you're looking at a pork chop, you've got that light pink center cut of the pork loin.
Mhm.
And as you get closer to the blade end of the pork loin, as the butcher is cutting chops, you'll start to see a much more red line around in the cap, kind of
Right,
around the
right,
outside, right? And that's the blade end of the pork chop. And
And you'll see a little fat and sinewy too.
yeah, and that's what you want. You want to get those
Exactly.
And then if you go further into that butt, you're going to get you can get pork blade steaks if they don't cut it up, or you can get pork butt as a whole thing with the blade in it, or country style pork ribs. If you go the other direction, you're looking at pork sirloin roast at the other end of that center cut loin.
Now, on one side, you've got more characteristic of muscles and fats and things like this through the meat, which to me I think is much better, because no matter what, you're going to cook that meat all the way, and that's going to melt down, and that's going to give you all that flavor and that texture too. I mean, it's kind of boring to eat nothing but the same meat for like 10 minutes chewing on the same thing, like we always talk about the big beef roast. It's like the outside is the best part, so make the whole thing the outside, butterfly the whole thing, and season the whole thing and seal the whole thing, so now you have nothing but crust.
Okay, so let's just assume people have pork chops.
Okay.
And they have the ones that I'm suggesting that they don't get, because maybe that's all it's, well, no, a lot of times that's all it's available.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with them? How are you going to make those perfect? Because you're dealing with a current trend, which is the leanest possible, right?
Correct.
Actually, if you go into fancy butcher shops, it's going the other directions. Crazy amount of fat on those. But in grocery stores, still, they're looking for the leanest possible thing to offer you, which in turn makes it very difficult to cook properly. So let's get started down.
Well, I think then for me, pork is a great meat carrier, meaning that it can take a lot. So mustard is always my go-to. You give me pork chop, the first thing I think about is lather this baby up.
So that's an inch thick pork chop we're talking about now. Okay.
Lather it up in Dijon. We used to do this at Lule with
I know, I've had it many
big
times.
coat, like the giant big pork chop. We put them in tub in rosemary, rosemary, thyme, and Dijon mustard, cracked pepper, and put the whole thing together overnight. So the next day, your pork chops are like already starting to break down. The meat with the acids in the mustard starts to break down the cells of the meat. You throw that baby on the grill. You remove a little bit of that mustard because it was a lot. You just want to have a lathering,
you don't rinse it, but you just wipe it.
Yeah, you just wipe it
with your hand.
Yeah. So there's still some left, but there's not as thick of a layer. And then you put that on the grill or on a flat top or on a cast iron pan, and then you just get that baby up, nicely seared on both sides.
So we're on a medium heat or medium high?
Medium. When I say sear, I don't mean like high heat.
Yeah.
You don't want to go too crazy. And then you just finish it in the oven or cover it up. And then you end up with that beautiful meat cooked all the way. And you've got that mustard.
So what's all the way to you? What temperature?
At 160 is when I stop.
160. Yeah. That's higher than I thought you would have said.
Well, I'm
just asking the question.
160 is what's going to be.
The health department's not in this room right now.
Okay, 145 is when I start going, okay, that's good enough for me.
Because to me, that's when I would.
But 160 is what I'm supposed to say.
To me, I would pull it at 145 and let it rest to 155. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind having a medium pork chop.
Yeah.
But per health regulation, 160 is good. But anyway, the point is that no matter what, that's not going to be dried out if you stop at 160. If you go to 170, that will be dried out. There won't be any juice left in that pork chop, especially after you let it rest.
Because you can't stop it, right? Once you if you're pulling it at 170, you can't stop it. It's going to automatically go to 180.
180, 185.
Yeah.
Because the higher it goes, the more time it keeps cooking.
Yeah.
So anyway, 160, I would be the maximum I would go, and let it sit and let it rest. And then you've got this wonderful, juicy pork chop that's going to be on your hand. And it's permeated through because of the mustard that has already broken it down.
Mm-hmm.
So the heat has gone through gently through the whole pork chop, and the whole thing is nice and tender. And, mustard is one example, but there is many other things you could do. I mean, you could macerate your pork chop in dry, not in wet, in just spices. Thinking of the Rub with Love, the first one you made.
Yeah. Any of those would work.
Yeah.
The salmon.
No, the salmon rub. Salmon rub on the pork chop is delicious.
That's going to give you more of a barbecue sense because there's
Exactly.
some brown sugar in there, and so that'll
But you put that-
caramelize.
And again, the same concept. You put this on the pork chop with just a tiny bit of olive oil, so it's kind of wet, and you pack it in. You leave it there for a few hours, and then you cook it. It's always nice. I'm a big believer of let things macerate a little bit because it breaks it down, starts breaking it down a little bit, and the flavor gets through.
So Pamela, you cook pork a lot, and you like fruit with your pork.
In fact, I do. And this week was breakthrough smashed blueberry sauce. But you start with shallots and thyme. So I was channeling you, Thierry. It was like that is the correct beginning. And then pop the blueberries in high heat and finish with balsamic.
So they break down.
So they break down.
Uh-huh.
And it,
Oh yeah, so finish with balsamic, which is
It
I
finish
was
with
gonna say you need
balsamic.
an acid in there.
yeah.
That's cool.
The only thing I would say, if you're doing balsamic, you probably are. Were you in a cast iron pan?
No.
Because you have to be careful with vinegar and cast iron.
Yeah.
Right. Stainless steel,
Stainless
heavy
steel.
bottom. Yeah.
Yep. It was fantastic. But
Cool.
What did you temp your pork chops at when you pulled them?
145.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, you can say it.
Well,
Okay, 145 is where it's at.
it's pink, but I did the warm them in the oven and then a sear on top at the end.
Oh yeah, you did the other way around. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Oh, you did the reverse sear.
The
Yeah.
reverse sear, yeah.
Uh-huh. And you like that still.
I
You love
trust
that.
it.
Yeah.
I trust it.
And
It
you,
works. It works really well. It's a good method. I mean, it's not.
I've never
different.
done it.
It's like roasting and then searing. It's a method that works really well, especially for thicker piece of meat. I think it works really well. I don't
Yeah,
think
because
it's
when you get it out of the oven, you can temp it then and see, how
Correct.
far along you are. And then it takes the searing time down to shorter.
right.
So you're not looking at all for internal temperature to rise when you're searing. You're just giving it a browning on the outside.
Mostly.
it
And
doesn't
what,
really.
what thickness of pork do you like? Because I like a 1-inch pork chop.
Pretty.
Yeah, pretty thick. Yeah, exactly.
But that was the other thing that I ran into, because on those thin ones, they if they're under that, they curl too much. And I was reading,
Girl, you can't stop them from cooking. There's just
they're ridiculous.
yeah.
Well, they're,
but
they're
Don't
meant to
do
be,
it.
Don't.
They're meant to be grilled quickly and not. It's
Yeah.
not meant to be cooked the same way.
Or
as a
you
pork
pound
chop.
them out and bread them and make veal schnitzel or
Sure.
pork schnitzel out of them. All right, we got to jump over to what is an umami bomb? It's a hot topic in cooking these days. We're going to talk about that when we come back on Cairo. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Yes.
Dijon mustard. Yeah. So Grey Poupon or Dijon mustard, you buy the real Dijon mustard is very piquant. It's got lots of acid sulfuric in it. So it's very it's nice acid.
If you want to make Terry super jealous, use this. Yeah. If you need more of that after you finish that, you can get it in our gift shop right here at the Hot Stove Society Show. Chef, have you ever tried our Dijon mustard?
That's a
our
very nice mustard.
shallot mustard. Have you
Oh,
tried
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
We're trying to decide whether to keep it in our line or not because it doesn't sell very well, but we use it a lot down at Edda's, and Rubens uses it, so we're having to make that call.
I mean, it's a great sandwich mustard, man. It's like beautiful.
Once people try it, they love it, but it's getting them. She loves it. I've not tried it.
I start pretty low, like under 300. Yeah. But Kenji talks about it a lot in the Food Lab book. He uses reverse sear. There's some science between getting your product warm before you sear it that makes it take a better sear, but I can't remember the explanation. Oh, Under 15 minutes. Yeah, it's
You
fast.
just have to go by temperature, not by
Yeah,
time.
by temperature.
Anchovies.
Okie dokie, it's the Hot Stove Kitchen on Cairo. We're continuing down our path, but we're going to get into some bombs.
Some bombs.
Some bombs. You know, one of the hot terms in the restaurant business or in cooking in general are umami bombs.
Right.
And if I were to try and explain that to somebody who didn't know what the heck I was talking about, umami is a fifth sense, right? It's like this flavor that you're not really sure where it comes from, but it brightens and it adds texture and depth and does all sorts of savoriness, all sorts of things. And so I often think of dried powdered shiitakes as an umami ingredient. There are mushrooms in general seem to add that kind of thing that people don't necessarily recognize. But anchovies, fish sauce is kind of the same way, right? Anchovies, fish sauce. But let's concentrate on anchovies today, Chef. And let's not think about anchovies in the way that you might put them on top of your pizza or on top of your Caesar salad, right? I'm not talking about anchovies that you eat as an ingredient, but anchovies that blend with something else that you're making to become that umami base that you just don't know where that flavor is coming from, or you don't know why my meatballs taste better than your meatballs, or you know what I'm saying? It's just an ingredient that people use to kind of give food an extra oomph. So how do you use anchovies that aren't traditional and more like an umami bomb?
Well, a nice classic, and it's a very old classic, of a steak finished with, after your steak is seared, you just deglaze the pan, shallots, chopped shallots, and veal stock, and finish with anchovy paste.
So
and butter.
And butter, yeah. And
that's
because
but we're talking like in a scenario like that, you're not looking for an anchovy butter.
No.
You're looking for
you're trying to
almost like a bordelaise.
You're trying to give a flavor to the veal stock, basically the base of the sauce. You're trying to give it a flavor that's, just like a little salty, like that umami that we're talking about. You're trying to add that flavor to that. So when you put it over the steak, you now have a complete sauce because it's got stock, it's got shallots, it's got black pepper, and you're putting all that on the steak, but you've got that finishing of like that saltiness and that fishy. It's not fishy, but it's kind
fishy.
of
that's how I was.
Because fishy is a bad term in English, but it's got that flavor that you're like, what is that? That's so delicious, and it gives a depth that's not existing until that moment.
Right. I think of Worcestershire sauce,
and it matches really well with a beautiful Charolais steak. A beautiful Charolais steak is like gorgeous meat, gorgeous.
Charolais is a type of steer,
beef, and you get a nice steak with that. It's fantastic.
And so what you're doing is in a scenario like that, if you want to think about it in a per person way, you're kind of looking like about 1/8 of a teaspoon of anchovy paste per person,
or maybe a little bit more, but
depending. If you want it to taste anchovy-ish, you're going to up the anchovy.
Correct.
But if you want it to be the umami quality, where it just disappears into deliciousness, you're not really sure, then you want to go a little bit less.
Yeah, and it's anchovy paste is a kind of ingredient that would work in so many different things. Like first thing I think about is in cold dishes. Like let's say you have a hard-boiled egg cut in half, and you're like, oh, I'm going to make deviled egg. You can make a nice homemade mayonnaise, and you finish it with anchovy paste. And you put that into your eggs, and that's really upping the kiddy. Nobody's gonna be at the party going, "What's in those eggs?"
Well, they're all going to be at the party saying that. They're just not going to guess that it's anchovy.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just little trick like this. Or in tomato, if you do a tomato base, let's say you're doing a pasta and you're doing a tomato base sauce, you put a little anchovy in there at the last minute, and then you mix the whole thing together and put that over your pasta. Same thing. It's going to bring a umami in your tomato sauce that everybody's going to go, what's that last flavor I just had in my mouth? Same thing. It's just those are really good thing to have. Those tube of anchovy paste in your refrigerator door, it's a
That's-
must.
That's what I keep. Yeah.
You must have that. And same with the tomato paste. They put them in tube and you put those two things next to each other. You can go a long
Yeah.
way with that. And when you have water and you have light flavors, you just go boop.
And if you don't have that and you happen to have fish sauce, most people that would have fish sauce probably, maybe unless it's an ethnic ingredient for you, but anchovy paste or fish sauce work
Yeah.
interchangeably
Yeah,
that
true.
way. So when I'm making like a mustard vinaigrette or something like that, I always put a little tip of anchovy paste in there.
Mm-hmm.
My other secret umami ingredient is chipotle Tabasco, because you get a little bit of that smokiness from the chipotle
Yeah.
and get heat
That's
from
a
the
good
Tabasco.
idea.
I can see
and
that.
so
I can see that.
It's just something that disappears, but it brightens, and that's what we're trying
Yeah,
to get
for,
to.
for that, I use the chili crisp. I use the
Yeah.
chili crisp as a little hiding in there. You put it at the end, and it's the same thing. It creates that. What is in there? Is it spicy? No, it's
No.
not spicy. Is it like you can't really pick it up, but
But people that can't use a lot of salt in their cooking and stuff,
Yeah.
cayenne pepper is the perfect brightener.
Right.
Cayenne pepper and lemon juice, a combination. You don't really need salt,
Right.
And it's just a lovely way to brighten your food. The other places I use anchovy paste, meatloaf,
Sure.
meatballs.
Sure.
I made my my second, because I threw away my first batch,
The
but
cabbage, the
I
sad
made
cabbage roll story.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
so sad. I made my second batch of cabbage rolls 2 nights ago, because I saw some. I can't resist Savoy cabbage when I see it in the grocery store. I just love it. Anyway, but I put in my mix, my wild rice, pork, veal mix that I made for the stuffing of the cabbage roll. I put anchovy paste in, and lovely.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, of course.
I also put a little too much harissa in. They have a little kick to them.
Well, anchovy paste will help tame that down a little bit. It will change the
It
direction.
didn't. Yeah.
No, you put a lot.
I guess I did. I didn't realize.
Yeah, no, that's a good. I mean, I think it's a perfect idea actually. If you have something spicy and you put a little bit of that anchovy paste, it will change the direction of the spice, not being so hot, and focus more on the.
On the fullness of flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you change that, and it's a good idea. It's also a good rub. If you're doing a roast, if you're doing, for example, a small, we were talking about pork butt, you do a 1.5 pound pork butt piece to roast. You can, just before it finishes out of the oven, last 5 minutes, you just put a little bit of anchovy paste and a little bit of olive oil, put that over your roast and finish it in the oven that way. So you'll have a nice crust on your pork, and it definitely will have a lot of flavor on the outside.
Right. But that's a little bit more when you're featuring the anchovy, like you would
Right.
if you were making an anchovy toast.
Right.
When I go to the South Italian market in South Philly, visiting family back there, you go into I think it's called the Bruno Brothers, and have some people, you've been there, yeah.
We have some
In the old
fans.
version, you used to be able to walk through, and they would have maybe a half dozen to a dozen tins of anchovies open on the counter, different salt levels, different size anchovies, and with aging provolones dripping on your head over
Yes.
top.
That's a party.
It was a good store.
It's one of my favorite things to put in my hair.
Yeah. What's interesting about
Provolone
that particular
dripping.
store is they have one in downtown Philly, which is like this really upscale,
Fancy.
clean, blah, blah, blah. And then you go to the one in the market, and I could talk all day about the Italian market in South Philly, my first trips there, but we're going to stay with anchovies. So anchovy toast, Caesar salad is the classic. And people always say, leave the anchovies out, but they don't really mean it. What they mean is they don't want the extra anchovies on top, because they wouldn't really know if the anchovies were in the dressing if it was made
Well, you don't have a
properly.
Caesar if you don't have anchovies. I mean,
Well, yeah, sort of. That's the case, but also
It's kind
they're
of
not
like
supposed
have
to be the
something else.
dominant player in the
No.
dressing, right?
No.
They embellish the dressing.
right.
What are kimchi burgers, Pam? You wrote kimchi burgers down as a.
I just saw it on the list and it sounded fantastic.
Well, what is it?
Having some kimchi blended
Oh,
in.
kimchi.
Kimchi. I spelled it wrong.
Okay.
You've
Yeah.
heard of that.
Yeah, kimchi and anchovy paste, that would work really well.
Perfect.
Yesterday on the evening television show I was taping here at the hot stove, and I made a kimchi.
Noodle bowl?
No,
Sandwich?
corned beef sandwich.
Oh.
with jack cheese, kimchi, and hoisin barbecue sauce.
Wow.
Yeah, we did the classic.
I like how you get giddy on that one.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny.
It was good.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to do something traditional, like traditional Reuben, and then the non-traditional.
You
By golly, it
accomplished
was
It was
non-traditional.
definitely not traditional.
Okay, we got another full hour, and we come back. Cheesy pickles, food for thought, tasty trivia, all sorts of deliciousness. Stay with us on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
I want you to griddle some cheese so you can demonstrate this pickle snap.
That sounded so funny. I was telling Kathy, I'm like, here's a snack you should have every day. Take some cheese, melt it down, put the pickle in it, roll it.
They said
Do we have to have enough for everyone to have a taste?
No. Everyone?
why not?
Sure.
Olive oil?
A little bit.
I wouldn't put too much, yeah.
Can I get another?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You need at least 12 pieces, 14 pieces. I love the new discovery of the day. Pickle in the blanket.
Okay, I need a volunteer from the audience to help me cook this.
Hey guys, we need a volunteer from the audience. Here you go. We got somebody coming.
Okay, so what do I do now?
Put it in the
Get the
pan.
cheese in.
It's
Get it griddled.
it's very complicated. You put the cheese in the pan, you warm up the whole thing up. When the cheese is starting to melt, you put your pickles in the middle,
You know what?
and then you roll it.
Yeah. Or maybe you'll
I got some right here, Lars.
maybe take the hands over there to cut them. Don't you think? Be easier.
All right, you're on these two pans here.
What am I doing?
I don't know. Pamela's in charge here. I would never think of something like this.
You're starting to melt your pan and melt your
Melt
cheese
your
in
pan. Let's melt our pan first. We have to do 2 pans.
Okay, do 2. Oh, do you have room for 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
When it starts to melt.
Don't overlap because it won't get hard.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right.
Oh,
Now what?
So nice.
When it starts to melt, you put a pickle in?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want crispy edges, and then when it starts getting crispy edges, you're going to fold it into a burrito.
This is officially the stupidest thing we've ever done on the
So that's why you asked me to volunteer?
Yeah.
But we needed somebody to be.
All right. Do we have a spatula for us? Okay.
We want more crisp. We want brown.
Don't trim yet. We got to let them crispen up.
Oh, like that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not quite there yet. Be patient. Be patient.
Is this funny watching Jerry make a cheesy
That is definitely a first.
Hey, hey, can we have your cutting board, please?
I can try this one.
Yeah, when it's starting
Big.
to brown.
Oh, yours looks perfect. Look at yours.
Who knew, Pamela? Who
Oh,
knew?
no!
Look at this guy. Look at this guy right here.
He has the perfect one!
Wow.
Wow!
I'm gonna have to learn how to be a little more, I don't know what you call it, more pickly.
Those are beautiful.
I wouldn't quite push it that far.
Oh, John! What's your name? Better cook this on.
Doug.
Oh,
Yeah,
you know all about.
You know
You know
about
all
that.
about this man.
I don't think you're going for enough down.
You're right, I'm not.
Is that a personal preference?
No.
Impatient.
Look at this.
Look at Doug.
Doug is doing it right.
That one's gorgeous.
Can we get a little steak shuffle?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm not getting paid to do this. in case you're wondering. I'm paid to do this.
That's what's,
That's the sad part.
that's the sad part.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one right.
Yeah, that would be good.
Tom is he has no patience. So here you go.
Chef.
Here you go. That's how you do it, brother.
There we go.
Mister, I would never ever in my life stop at a McDonald's without frying cheese.
Is this McDonald's stuff?
No, it doesn't have-
Look at this!
I'm sorry. How many times have we made this?
This would be a first.
You just need to be from Kansas City to do it. Right?
That's right. That's it.
Doug, Sean's accusing me of putting you in as a plant, but we didn't ever eat before.
No, we have not.
We're not talking
No.
about cheesy pickles.
Everybody back in KC knows how to make a cheesy pickle. That's it.
Okay.
Lars is going to cut him up into tiny days.
Here you go. That one's gonna be for us.
Thank you so much.
Nice
This is
job.
fun. Thank
Nice
you.
job.
This is the trending, most popular snack.
Terry has completely broken his cheese.
He's got it right.
That's for us, dude. Your cucumber will be soup.
It was super.
I wish I could say that was super fun. Sean, what does this show come to?
Maybe I shouldn't look for content on TikTok. Oh. Yeah. He wanted to get it right.
Oh, now you're not gonna eat it?
You have to taste it.
Some of that bullshit. You know, oddly enough, we have knives here.
I have nothing against you.
You have to eat it.
You gotta wait a minute. How many in the audience have never had a cheese pickle like that? All right, good. I feel better now. I thought it was a special specimen that never had that. I'm like, no. Okay, so this is a new snack of the century, I guess.
Yep.
Great stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a pickle wrapped up in cheese. We put everything else in there.
Cheese.
Exactly. And a pickle.
A pickle.
That's a 2 a.m. snack. But now they're putting it together hot.
If we were out in the clubs until 2 a.m., like the good old days, but
Yeah.
not.
I mean, I've had cornichon many times at 2 o'clock in the morning with some charcuterie or whatever. So pickles, I love
Every
pickles. So-
McDonald's cheeseburger has pickles and cheese on it.
I'm sorry, I don't know that one.
That's one thing I don't know.
And I will not try it. I don't have to.
Yeah, sure. I want to see Hinckley eat one.
Man, this is
Oh,
salty.
thank you.
What's that cheese? That's like chang,
That's a
chang,
good way to
chang.
ruin a decent pickle and bad cheese.
What's that cheese?
They're not the highest quality.
That's like very chewy cheese, man. I'm like, it's like rubbery.
Look what we did to it. That is terrible.
That might be.
Look at the look on her face. She's barely choking it down.
Thank God I kept some of my eggs. I can wash down.
Oh my, is right. You can thank Pamela for that treat, that taste treat.
Well, now we've got to talk about it.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo. It is amazing that I am still alive right now because our producer Pam made us cook the latest TikTok craze, which is what?
Cheesy pickle.
Cheesy pickle.
Griddled cheese with a dill spear inside it.
Uh-huh.
And you want to get it brown and crispy.
Uh-huh.
So you've got both your salty brine and your melty cheese.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple points I would make out of that because
So we did it.
We
Just so
did
you
it
know,
here.
we had Doug from the audience come up and help us. He
Actually,
is
Go,
from Kansas
Doug.
City, so it's in his blood. It happened naturally for him. He had to teach me how to do it.
I know.
He definitely showed us how it was done.
It's quite a show.
So what were you saying?
My first take would be, well, the skin is very hard to chew through. The cheese is way too chewy for me. So I would choose a better cheese, and I would definitely take a bigger pickle.
That just cracks me up. Okay.
I mean, you're trying to make
what
that
you're
better.
saying is by putting a saute pan on a high burner and putting a piece of mediocre cheese in there and putting a mediocre dill pickle in there, that it's not quite up to your standards.
No. It's exactly what I was saying.
Okay.
I mean, I do have standards.
Next time we'll get you aged provolone.
Yes, with
See, that would
that was what
oh,
I want to
parmesan,
get
even
to
parmesan would
is how
make
to
me-
take it up to a snack that you would enjoy.
Yeah, I would use.
There's nothing you could do for this except maybe put a Dick's Burger
Oh,
around
Tom, don't be such a hater. It can work. I just think it's important again to not bastardize it and use the worst ingredient. Instead, use better ingredient.
So in the grocery store at some cheese counters now, you can find the Parm crisp, where they take
Right,
like
yeah.
Asiago
See, that
or
would
they
be my
take
cup of tea.
domestic Parm and they kind of either pan fry it until it's
I
crisp
love
or
those.
oven bake it until it's crisp. That with a little pickle on top, I
Yeah.
could see could be really fun.
Yeah.
But
and
this,
not a thick skinned pickle that is sweet and all that. Just use a better pickle. Use a
that was a
good
dill pickle. That was a Clausen dill
but
pickle, kosher dill.
skin is way too thick for that. It
For
doesn't-
that presentation,
for that preparation. Yeah.
What about a cornichon?
you're
Yeah,
just the
I
wrong.
would
You're the
use-
wrong person here.
I would
Toby.
use no.
multiple.
I'm,
Hey, how
I'm the
about
other
there?
side of the spectrum.
I'm with Pamela on this. How about cornichons?
Exactly.
instead?
That's what
Yeah.
I said
Okay.
earlier. Cornichon would be great.
With a real provolone,
Yeah. Or some parmesan.
not a
you just,
commercial.
I mean, you just take some shaved parmesan into a pan. It will make your nice round. You put your gherkins in there, your cornichon. You roll that up.
Uh-huh.
Same idea. Now that would be a much better flavored item, and you could serve that as a little petit appetizer.
I think a little mustard in there would be good too.
Yeah.
I can't believe Carrie
absolutely.
didn't say mustard. What about if we rolled it in panko?
Well, you're getting to a different animal now.
Yeah.
But you can't roll it in panko until the cheese is melted, right?
Yeah. But I want to get the panko crusty. This was
Yeah.
Lars's idea.
Yeah.
And so if you got your cheese browned, could you then dredge it in the panko and go back to the
Yes,
pan
you could.
Yeah.
to get it crispy?
No, well, you can get the outside crispy. The thing that Chef Terry would like, though, that it might soften up the brown cheese a little bit, but I don't know.
No, I mean, I
don't know.
think
you're trying to.
I
do
think
too much.
you're really now pushing the envelope of like double frying, and it's kind of a. I don't know if it's really.
This is supposed to be a quick. In my mind,
Yeah.
this is a 2 a.m. snack. Nothing else is left in the fridge. I got to figure out something to do. Yeah, I'm getting
Actually, there's not much imagination there, so I think you definitely have nothing else in the fridge. Because
So now-
otherwise, I'll come up with something else.
This
I mean,
is
just celery would be.
13 million people.
13 million people have downloaded this video, Chef. 13 million.
13
That does not
million.
mean they're all making it and eating it and loving it. I mean, 13 million people have probably downloaded many other videos than they would never do, right?
Well,
I
I've
mean-
never had one of my videos downloaded more than 3 times.
You know what? You will be a success.
Yeah.
Just be patient.
It reminds me, oddly enough, it's the dill pickle, of course, but when we used to go to La Buznik restaurant here in Seattle, down on First Avenue, and before that in Pioneer Square, he used to take Jarlsberg cheese, dredge it, flour, egg, breadcrumb, pan fry it, get it crispy so that it had a soft, mushy center, and he served it in this Czechoslovakian restaurant. He served it with tartar sauce.
No.
A real pickly tartar sauce. So you got the real pickle flavor
Yeah.
with the fried cheese. And if you're going to take this up a notch, what we just this catastrophe that we just perpetuated here in this very sacred kitchen
I love how you call this a catastrophe, and then you say
in a sacred place.
Maybe with a burger, McDonald's burger.
No,
I'm
I
like,
just said with
what's
Peter
catastrophic
Cipra,
to you?
who was one of the
Sure.
best chefs that ever came to Seattle. His fried cheese with tartar sauce would be a nice alternative to this. And for anyone who wants the recipe, I'll take a picture of it on my phone, and Pamela will send it to you for our fried Jarlsberg with tartar sauce. It's delicious. I just made it the other night for some old pals. So there you go. You wanted us to,
Take it up a notch,
Take it up a
and
notch.
you did.
yeah.
I think a better cheese is the place to start.
One other thing that could be good on that cheese is when it comes out of the pan, when it's still soft, is to put some of that rub on it. You put the veggie rub on top of that. That would be delicious too. That would give you a nice little,
Some spice flavor.
yeah. Some
Because the dill pickle has got tons of garlic, right? Coriander seed, dill,
right.
and then you could add more spice if you
Got
want.
the vinegar acid kind of behind
Smoked
it.
paprika, that Spanish style
yeah.
smoked paprika would be good with that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But honestly, let's just be clear. There's nothing that would be good with this, like this, what Pamela
No.
made us do. There are alternative ways to go about what she was looking for, which is a cheese pickle combination that we could make delicious. But this,
And it's not because he's got 1 million view on TikTok then it's good.
13
Okay, let's make
million.
sure we get that straight.
13 million.
Well, whatever. It's like it doesn't matter how many millions. People are amazed by, it's fun to watch. You're looking at this, you're going, oh my God. I bet you most people are going, oh my God, I would never eat that.
Our audience did very willingly. Look at them. They're all,
Yeah, and most
they
of
look
them
a
were
little
like,
lethargic
oh no.
right now, but they did eat it.
Yeah, I mean, we used to have a live audience.
All right, enough about that. Let's talk about some vinegar infusions when we come back. This is right up your alley,
Wake
Chef.
us up.
On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
That's funny.
No, of course. All right, so we know what to do and what not to do. That's good. What's the question?
Hi, YouTubers. So the question on YouTube is pork loin, bone in or bone out?
Well, bone in for sure, but
So there's two different kinds of pork loin, right? There's the center cut pork loin, where the bone is the only edible part.
right?
And then there's the shoulder cut pork loin bone in.
Yeah.
That is what I would purchase.
I'm always with bone, no matter
Always
what.
with bone.
My wife and I, we always fight about the bone.
They have medicine for that.
Rebel within.
All right.
What about it?
I just love the name, Rebel Within. So the part that I love about this is using the vinegar to help with the overall balance of a dish.
The different type, yeah.
Yeah,
Use vinegar, different vinegar as a base.
yeah.
I think you're saying make the vinegars and then use it how you use it when you're cooking with it as a
Yeah.
balancer,
Yeah.
not
Uh,
necessarily as.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm-
balancing making it the infusion. You mean?
Well, you make the infusion, and then what do you do with the vinegar when you're done?
Yeah.
Now you've got blueberry vinegar. And you want to make with your pork chops? How do you?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You said
in
what I
a-
love about this.
Yeah.
She's also
this,
saying use the distilled white vinegar for this. Use
No,
the
I
red wine
understand
vinegar
that.
for this.
That I understand, but you want to take it to the next
next step too,
Okay, yeah.
after.
All right, let's get down into some vinegar here in the Hot Stove Society show. Thank you for joining us. We have a live studio audience that's all revved up because they just had a cheese crusted dill pickle.
Right, let's move on.
Let's move on. Next up on our show, we're going to talk infusing vinegars. And Chef, annually, I look forward to my infused vinegar in my Christmas basket from you. I give you a little loaf of mortadella, and I get infused vinegar. So
Well, you give me some wine. Wine is good. Wine is good.
no, tell us how you make your vinegars, and we've got all sorts of different vinegars to work with, right? So how do you go about your process?
So it starts with what I have in my backyard usually, which is I have an apple tree, a dwarf apple tree, and my rule has always been the same: is what's on the ground goes vinegar, and what's on the tree goes applesauce. So both of those I can. I mean, first I can the applesauce, obviously,
Yeah.
but the vinegar process is all the apples that are salvageable, that are not rotted, but that are on the ground. I cut them in small pieces. I put them in white wine and white vinegar, and I let it macerate for about 6-7 months. Cheesecloth.
All right, we have to go back. We have to stop and go back to the
Which
beginning.
this
here.
is not. Wait, yeah. What's up?
Well, you've chopped your apples.
Yeah.
What kind of white wine?
Regular white wine, like a box white wine that I buy at the.
A box. It's just a cheap white wine.
Yeah, cheap white wine.
And vinegar,
White vinegar.
which is like
Just regular white
distilled or just
Not distilled. just
white wine vinegar.
White wine vinegar.
Okay.
Put 1/3 white wine vinegar, 2/3 white wine,
Uh-huh.
and cover over the apple by at least twice as much.
Okay.
So I use
In a plastic bucket?
5-gallon bucket.
5-gallon bucket.
And then I put that in the basement and I let it sit for cheesecloth on top, so no fruit fly gets in there.
Uh-huh.
And then I let it sit for about 6-7 months.
Uh-huh.
And I move it every month. I go in there and I twirl it around and just cover it back up.
Okay.
And after 6-7 months, you've got this mother that gets formed, and you've got this natural process that just happened.
Uh-huh.
Then I'll take it and I
So it's
blend-
yeast from the air.
Correct.
Is that has changed?
that has basically fermented, or not
Fermented.
fermented because it's not really fermented. It's on the stage of that because it's not hot enough to ferment. I don't put it in the kitchen,
Okay.
which would be great if I could, but I don't want it to be smelling vinegar every day of my life.
And you put any seasoning in it at all?
Nothing.
Cinnamon sticks?
At
Nothing.
the beginning, I don't do anything.
Okay.
Just apple. And then what I do is at the end, I strain the whole thing and really push through a fine sieve. So I get a little bit of the pulp and mostly vinegar.
Uh-huh.
I take this and I bring it to a boil. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to stop whatever fermentation is happening or whatever's
You're
happening.
killing off whatever yeast is
Right.
left. Or, yeah.
So I'm just stopping the life of what's going on, the bacteria basically. So I'm bringing it to a boil, and that's when I put a little rosemary. Depends on the flavor I'm looking for. Adding to that, and I let it macerate, for about 30 minutes.
Mhm.
And then I strain the whole thing through very fine cloth, so there is nothing left in the vinegar except the actual vinegar. So that way you
So it
get
doesn't come out cloudy or anything like that,
no,
right?
it comes out kind of goldish, brownish color,
Mhm.
and it's
And now you have apple vinegar.
apple vinegar, and it's 100% apple vinegar. I
Uh-huh.
mean, it's just apple from the backyard, and so that's the beginning of one type of vinegar. There's another one I used to make for years and years at Rovers, not just one, but many. We used to have buckets in the back of Rovers where I'd have those vinegar curing all the time. And the common one was we had big bush of rosemary. So just take a whole bunch of rosemary, put that in white wine, vinegar, same thing. We'd let it age and you'd have a rosemary vinegar. Same thing with during the berry season. I would go down to Pike Place and see Frank's or whatever, get the berries they couldn't sell, buy them much less expensive and take that and put that in red wine and then macerate for a few months. Same thing, you'd have
Red
raspberry.
wine and red wine vinegar.
Red wine.
You always start with some vinegar, some
Right,
wine.
yeah. And one thing that I did when I was at Rovers, because every year I was redoing vinegars, I would keep some of the mother. The mother is that gooey kind of stuff that's in the vinegar. You keep that.
Stuff that's in kombucha. Gross.
So what it's a starter, it's basically life is gross. Jeez. I mean, what do you want from me? Anyway, you keep some of the mother and you put that in your fresh wine and vinegar. So it helps restart and also has the flavor base of that. So bacteria is already in there and it processes really fast. Vinegar is the simplest thing to make. It's really not that complicated. You need a little warmth. I mean, you can't have it at 32 degrees because nothing's going to happen. But if you have room temp or slightly below room temp it's perfect. You cover it. The air does the rest of the work. My grandfather, when I was raised on the farm, we had a barrel of vinegar. It was the same red wine barrel vinegar for years and years and years. And it would just keep topping it with red wine, which is red wine was already vinegar anyway. So my grandpa made a red
You
wine.
didn't tell him that, though. I hope.
Oh, you couldn't drink that thing. Oh, so bad. But anyway, he would put that in the vinegar barrel and you just keep topping it. And just natural process of aging just makes the vinegar.
Okay, let's all pretend we're Chef Thierry Rotro, chef in the chapeau. We're at home. We're making dinner. We've got friends coming over. We've got a little roast pork coming out of the oven. He's looking up into his pantry, and he's got huckleberry vinegar, and he's got raspberry vinegar, apple rosemary vinegar, cherry vinegar. Now you're pulling your roast out, and you're going to make a sauce out of the drippings.
I'm going to have the onions. I'm going to put some cabbage under the pork. And I'm going to take a little bit of that apple vinegar.
So when?
At the end. Always at the end.
At the end of what?
So I take all my...
You got your roast out.
My roast is out. My vinegar, my onions and my cabbage are in the pot. Take the cabbage out of the pot or out of the pan. And then deglaze with white wine on the onion. Let that reduce down a little bit.
You caramelize that at all?
Well, they're already caramelized because they've been roasting on the pork.
Okay.
And then I put my chicken stock or I always have chicken stock at home. Homemade. So I just put the chicken stock in there, let that cook down and reduce it down. And then at the end is when I put the vinegar. And the reason I put it at the end is because you're keeping the flavor, but you're also acquiring that acid, fresh acid that will perk up the whole thing. Because right now, all I told you was there was onion, there was wine and stock. But both of them are reduced and they're kind of sweet. But at the end, I want that.
Cloying a little bit too.
Yeah, but I want that acid to bring that freshness. It's kind of like the squeeze of lemon juice in your whatever you're doing. At the last minute, it brings that brightness.
So let's say you have a cup of reduced stock. It's a little bit syrupy. How much vinegar am I adding to that to kind of get that
a quarter cup
noticeable level? And if let's say I'm using the huckleberry vinegar, how much flavor huckleberry can I expect out of that?
I would say a quarter cup because you're going to bring that to a boil and just boil it for about a minute. And then if it's a little bit too vinegary now, what you have to do is the safety of the day is a nice nugget of butter in there. Softens down the whole thing and silk it out.
And if you want to go a little more sweet and sour, you just add a tablespoon of honey or a little bit of sugar.
Yeah.
And you end up with a little bit more sweet and sour.
Yeah. I never add sugar. It's always honey, or I would never put sugar, but that's just me.
Now, what I would do is I often have marmalades or jams in my refrigerator. You can stir in a tablespoon of apricot jam and a little bit of that blueberry vinegar.
Some of that apple sauce if you're doing
it's a great way to use up
Yeah.
the last bits of stuff in your refrigerator, the condiments
Absolutely.
that you have around. So.
Great idea.
Mhm.
Same with dressing. I mean, if you're making a Dijon mustard, and one dressing I love to make is tarragon. I make tarragon vinegar with white wine vinegar, and tarragon, lots of tarragon, and then just put the whole thing on the shelf for like 3 weeks, and then strain the whole thing up, and you have this wonderful flavor tarragon. Tarragon gives up flavor faster. So you get this gorgeous tarragon flavor, and then you use that to make a dressing. And talking about the jam, you do a Dijon mustard and tarragon dressing with a little bit of sour cream. Mix the whole thing together, and then at the last minute you put a little bit of that huckleberry jam left over than you have or whatever. That stuff's yummy.
Wow. There you go. There's some, Pamela. I hope that answers your questions about infused
With a
vinegars.
nice mild sausage.
You're going to want to get in on this bow class that Annie Elmore is going to do here on March 31st because she's got lots of ideas on how to take your bow dough. I know everyone's got extra bow dough at home.
Of course.
And do something different with it. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Bow, should be do.
There you are.
Bow do, should be do. Bow do, should be do. That's a welcome in. No, you're welcome. Yes,
At least you did something.
as opposed to not.
I just love the texture of the bao dough that you make. It's just so
Fluffy.
live and fluffy.
Yeah. We ready?
Are we going to be like this or are you going to be nice?
I'm being nice.
Okay.
That's her being nice.
Or you have to listen to the show, dude.
Mhm.
If anyone's going to listen, you should. Front row.
What are you
Probably sh-
What are you going to do during your class? Oh, we're going to talk about that. Never mind. Talk about the class.
Do you have any maize?
No.
No. It's too fragile, right? Do you
Uh,
freeze it?
You can freeze it after you steam them, though.
After steaming.
Yeah. And then you can re-steam them again. They taste just as good as fresh. We used to sell them at the Dahlia
that's
Bakery.
Right.
We did the cheeseburger
Burger
bao.
bao.
You didn't like it?
No.
No.
But everybody
We
did,
were-
though.
we were
It doesn't
opposed.
matter
Does it
what
go-
I like.
It must go really well with the cheese and pickle we just did.
We're going to welcome to the mic here the Hot Stove Society Show, Annie Elmore, director of the Hot Stove Society Kitchens. And she is uniquely qualified in our group to be making bao dough. Annie, for years, the little pinch buns have been a favorite staple of menus all across America. And it's amazing what has ended up in there from what is a traditional ingredient to where it is now. You find it wrapped around pretty much anything, even a cheesy pickle.
Yes.
yeah.
Like what Pam did.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us about bao dough, if you would, maybe a little bit of your background, and then how we can transcend making just barbecue pork humbao that you might see in on a dim sum menu, and into something a little different.
Funny enough, I actually used to make bao with my mom when I was younger. I never really make the dough. She always did because you have to knead it by hand. But what she did differently than what I do now is she used to use milk in her dough as opposed to just water. But because we have so many dietary restrictions, we want to keep it vegan and also dairy free. So we do it with water instead. There are a couple ways to make the bao dough. It's a double leavening dough. That's why they're so fluffy and they puff up so quickly when you cook them. Is you have a lot of sugar, a lot of yeast, and also baking powder as a second portion.
Oh, no
of the
wonder
leavening.
it gets
Yeah,
so-
that's
All
why
you- all
it
you
gets
That's
so
where the
big.
fluff comes
Yeah.
from, right?
All
The
you're
baking
missing
powder.
is a pump.
Huh?
You'd have a balloon.
Yeah, it's pretty much that's what it is. And I always have to warn people, making sure that you leave them about an inch apart, because otherwise you get a giant bao, kind of like when you bake cookies and you get really greedy. You're trying to bake a lot on a sheet tray and then you have this one whole sheet one. That way again, double leavening is what the dough is. That's what makes it fluffy. My mom's dough is a little bit more what I say, it's silkier because of the fat from the milk as opposed to just water.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, but with what we do. So with that, I usually make pinch bun with that, and
Uh-huh.
then steam bow, and then I also sometimes I do it in a sweet thing too, where you make rub it with butter and sesame seeds with brown sugar, and then you steam it, and that's gonna be your sweet bao as
Mhm.
opposed to savory bao. So there's so many different things you can do with that. Or if you want, you can just make like a plain one, and then you can eat that with your soup or
Yeah,
with,
it's like it's just a piece
yeah,
of bread.
just like a bread.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Ever made pizza with it?
What?
Pizza? No. You ever make pizza with bao dough?
Pizza with bao dough?
Yeah.
I'm trying
Just
to.
say no.
Well, we know we just did pickle and cheese. I'm like, well, might as well try pizza too.
So you've got a class coming up on the 31st of
Yes.
March, and what can people expect? Like, what are some of the different ways to use bao dough that you've experimented with?
So, three things I'm gonna be learning how to make is making pinch bun, because I really hate the store bought stuff. You
Uh-huh.
and I had that fight before, where you went and buy the stuff from the frozen section,
Exactly.
and I think it's so disgusting because
Well,
it's
it comes
dried.
off plasticky.
Yeah, and
in
it's
a funny way. Yeah.
dried, and it doesn't look like real thing.
Right. It looks machine made.
yeah,
It takes
yeah.
all the organic
Yeah,
nature out of it.
and
yeah.
it's not fluffy. It's really dense.
It's just one of more of the fights that I've lost to you, Annie.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
I enjoy every moment of
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
So that, and they learn how to make that. A lot of people think it's really difficult because they see it sell at the store. So
Uh-huh.
they say, okay, if they sell at the store, it must be really hard to make, but it's actually really easy to make.
Mhm.
And then I teach them on how to do the steam bao with the barbecue. But instead of pork, we did char siu shiitake. So make that whole thing vegan.
Vegetarian,
Mhm.
vegan.
Yeah. And then
Char siu shikari. So the barbecue pork you find in Chinatown is
Mhm.
called char siu,
mhm.
and it's a certain style of cooking it and flavor profile. And so you
Mhm.
did it on shiitake mushrooms
Yeah.
instead of on pork butt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of like fry the shiitake, make it a little bit of that crunchier, a
Mhm.
similar texture to the barbecue pork.
Mhm.
And then we did all the seasoning in it, the glaze and everything.
Star anise and
Yeah.
red
mhm.
food dye.
No, we did not do that. And the third one I taught them how to do is steam and sear the bao from frozen stage. So you can kind of exactly how you would do pot stickers, but you do it in a pan and you sear it and you steam it exact same time.
Mhm.
And so that was the three different ways on how to use the
So what's the
The bao dough.
processing? How do you make the dough actually? What do you use?
flour, water, sugar, yeast, baking powder, a little salt. That's it.
Mix the whole thing together?
Mm-hmm. So there are two different ways. Sometimes you see recipe, people will tell you to add the baking powder on the second rise. Sometimes you see they said just add it at the beginning. Honestly, I did both and they work out at the same time. I'm kind of a lazy person. I'm not gonna wait for the second rise. I
Right,
just
just
put
do
it in
it.
the beginning
Mhm.
and done with it, and then portion it, and then that's it. You don't have to like sit around and wait for it to.
So let it rise, punch it as in
Nope,
break.
you don't
No?
have to punch it.
You said you rise it twice.
If so, the second rise would be you adding the baking powder. But if you don't add the baking powder on the second
Oh, you
rise,
just do one
add
rise.
it. Yeah, you just
Okay,
one
get it.
rise. Yeah.
And then you divide it into manageable sized
Mhm.
balls,
Small
and
balls.
you have to knead it at that point. Is that right?
You're done kneading. You just
I thought you said your mother always kneaded hers.
she hand kneads her, but I don't need.
You are lazy.
I know. I just use the KitchenAid.
Oh, so you put it in the mixer and knead
Yes.
it. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you do put it in the mixer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have the strength for that. I have a lot of stuff to do.
Excuse me. So so now we've got our bao dough, and we can
Mhm.
essentially go anywhere we want from there.
Mhm.
Sometimes when we make bao here for our corporate gigs where we're
Mhm.
having a hum bao group that is
Mhm.
vegetarian, we make a little squash and kale
Mhm.
bao with tofu, shredded tofu in it.
Yeah.
What other ideas do you have to fill a bao before you steam it?
Like fulfilling wise,
Yeah.
or
I mean, you can do anything with it. You,
I mean,
you talked about the cheeseburger
yeah.
bow.
oh god, yeah. So cheeseburger was a huge hit,
Yeah.
and that one. So after we steam, we sear a little bit to create a little bit of the texture.
No,
in
go
it.
back to the filling. though.
Okay, the
Yeah,
filling,
I want to
okay.
hear how you make cheeseburger bow filling.
Oh, you want to know how?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I thought you invented it.
I did not.
So for the cheeseburger, you just take this ground beef and you cook in a cast iron skillet, kind of like if you were to cook, beef patty, burger patties. Sear on both sides, and you break it up.
Onion.
Onions, yep. You saute onion. So you take the beef out and you use that beef fat to saute the onions in there. And then you add it in with the beef. And then you want to keep the fat in there too, because that's what makes things delicious, right?
That's right.
And then of course you got the ketchup, the mustard,
Pickle
the
relish.
pickles relish in there.
No.
The
The
American cheese. You got to be
Oh
American
my-
cheese.
Yep. And then so when you bite
Yes.
into it, it's like you're eating cheeseburger.
Uh,
Wildly popular.
Was it good or was it bad?
and so you
Um,
take that filling, you have to chill it down a bit.
Yep.
You've got your bow, and you kind of roll out your bow.
Mhm.
You put a delicious scoop of that filling in the middle,
Yep.
and fold it up,
Then you steam
Yeah.
it.
and put the seal on the bottom.
Mhm.
Put it into a steamer basket over a delicious bath of hot water,
Yep.
and steam away.
Yep. You just steam, and also depends if you were to use raw meat, a raw filling, which Vietnamese people do. We use raw pork filling with eggs in it. So that you would steam a little bit longer because you got raw meat in there. But
Mhm.
if you use something already cooked, let's just say, the char siu bao or the cheeseburger bao,
Mhm.
you don't have to bake them too long. You just want the dough to be done. So that takes 7 minutes,
Mhm.
7 to 10, and depending on the size. But if you have raw in there, I would go for 15 minutes.
Now, to get the real cheeseburger aspect out
Okay,
of,
we're back
out
at
of
it
this
again.
bow,
Uh-huh.
you have to go to like a cast iron pan, put some vegetable oil in the bottom, and then you pan fry the
Mhm.
bow,
After it's
so
steamed.
you get a little bit of that greasy diner kind of feel to it.
Oh, yep.
Because
Making my
everybody's-
stomach.
Because everybody's looking for that greasy diner flavor. No,
Yeah.
no.
What about the curry vegetable bao? Now we're talking.
Yeah.
None
so,
of this cheeseburger stuff.
I mean, the curry vegetable is one of Pam's favorite. We saute lots of garlic, ginger, onion, and we use S&B curry powder, which is the Japanese curry powder. It's really distinct in flavor. It has a lot more orange flavor in it. And then, add in the kale, and then we roast the squash, and then we add it in there. So it's a really great seasonal, like wintertime filling.
hmm
People seem to like it,
hmm
Mhm.
and it's a lot healthier.
So now, if you were to take your bow dough and put it into a muffin tin, because Pam is fascinated with muffin tins, what would you do? You like if you want to make a cinnamon sugar bow in a muffin tin? So you take it, you roll it, you do all this,
Would that
cut it
work?
up, kind of like a monkey
The bread,
What do they call monkey bread? The
yeah,
bread.
pull
Bread,
apart
yeah.
bread, yeah.
the pull apart. You can make a bow pull apart.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you can
There's a million things you can do with bow dough.
totally.
Yeah.
And that you do a little bit on a sweeter side,
Mhm.
but it's gonna be fluffier than cinnamon rolls, of course.
Which is nice. So
Yeah.
you just add more butter.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Anything else you want to add before so people actually want to come? She, despite
I
how
think-
she sounds on the radio, she's a very nice person.
And also,
She's very
Yeah.
competitive,
Excellent teacher.
excellent teacher.
apple and caramel would be a
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be tasty.
Well, unfortunately, the class don't need any selling or advertisement because it sells out very
Really?
quickly.
Very good.
Yeah.
Whether I'm teaching it or not. So
All right. Do you want to stay and be our victim when it comes to food for thought tasty trivia?
I won't be the victim, but I will stay for the trivia.
On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
That's right. You won't be the victim. Someone else will.
Are you inspired to make bao dough now?
Yeah.
Easy.
Don't be scared. It's actually a lot easier than you
Easier
think.
and
Yeah.
satisfying.
Yeah. and it's so smooth and soft like a baby's bum.
It's so nice.
It feels a little bit like brioche, though.
Yeah,
that silky
yeah, it's so
brioche, yeah.
silky. Yeah.
It's
great.
enchanting.
Do you have
I
a
love
brush?
The texture of it.
You ever brush the outside before you roast, put it in the oven?
Uh,
After you steam
Well,
them?
she steams it,
you
yeah.
steam it.
No, but you could steam and do a little egg wash and put it in the oven.
Well, they do. Sometimes they put a little sesame on top, or they'll
Mhm.
do some sort of decoration on
Yeah.
top. Yeah.
No, but we don't bake those. We haven't tried it, but I'm pretty sure it could work.
So when you go to Chinatown and you go to dim sum, you can have your choice of the steamed bao or the baked bao. So the baked
Mhm.
bao is a different dough.
Right.
Very
Just like-
different.
yeah.
It's more like a brioche dough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has eggs in it and
Yeah,
everything.
it's like a brioche dough. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not the same.
Pam, are you ready for us?
I realized I didn't put Carol's
Any other questions on YouTube?
Carol's stores in, so I'll read them from her email
Okay.
when you get to that.
You guys ready to wrap the show? It's our last segment. Yep. You bored to death with us? Did Annie ruin it for you?
Oh,
I might
It was a
have
really good day, wasn't it?
she relived it.
Welcome back. Time for food for thought, tasty trivia as we wrap up the deliciousness that is the Hot Stove Society radio show. Food for thought, tasty trivia is brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs, a fabulous shallot mustard, which our young gentleman in the front here got a jar of for free today from our gift shop, and 4 zingy sauces. When you have them in your pantry, you have the tools to elevate any meal. How about that, chef?
For sure, for sure.
That's our new tagline, Pam. Way to go. The tools to elevate any,
Any
meal.
meal.
Rub with love.
Oh,
Yeah.
and our
I just have to say with my NPR voice.
yes.
Rub with love. Tools to elevate.
That's too
any meal.
sexy.
Makes you crazy.
Yeah.
Makes you crazy. Okay.
And Carol, our Rub with Love brand manager, says that you can stock up at Rub with Love at grocery stores like metropolitan markets, town and country markets, and local butcher shops like all 3 locations of B&E Meats, or our beloved Don and Joe's in the Pike Place Market, or AA Meats in Lakewood.
In Lakewood. Love it. Okay. How do we play the game? And since Annie is here, she doesn't really need any more Rub with Love. She's sweet enough.
Doug
Doug, the fabulous pickle fryer,
is
is
going to
win our 3-pack of Tasty Rubs. He'll get to
Yeah,
choose
yeah.
from in our gift shop before he goes to it today.
Got a winner today.
I love how you won before we play.
Yeah.
I like that.
We always know the winner.
Take the pressures off already.
All right. Well, my 3 contestants are each getting 5 very easy questions this week. And we're going to see who gets
My
the most
experience,
right.
personally, if you don't mind me interrupting, my experience is that they get 5 easy questions.
And then
Mine
at
are a
the
little bit
end,
And Tom gets his
difficult.
own.
Terry,
Go ahead. I'll start.
what is the French term for finishing or ripening cheese to bring it to a perfect point of maturity?
Âger your fromage, but the actual is affiné.
Exactly. Thank you. Number 2, what is Calvin?
Need I say more?
What is Calvados?
How about some right now? It's an apple brandy that is made in Normandy.
Yes, you are pitch perfect today.
Can't figure it out.
It's really hard.
True or false? Clarified butter has a higher smoke point than regular butter.
Yeah, of course. Yes, true.
True. 3 for 3.
As long as you don't use the little milk that's on the bottom.
Number 4. What is the name of the rich, light cake similar to a sponge cake that was
Génoise.
developed?
Next.
Correct. And
Wow,
finally,
chef.
he's rocking it. The edible part of the wheat kernel contains 3 different parts: the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. Which part of the kernel contains the most nutrients?
The brand.
The germ.
Yeah, of course.
4 out of 5. Strong.
All right.
Strong showing.
Nice job, chef.
Yep.
I swear
Good
I'm
for
not
you
gonna.
for understanding those complicated French
I
terms.
swear
I
I'm
know.
I'm never eating brand again.
Chef Annie, what color is the outside of the fruit lychee?
Red.
Ish.
Stop there. You
Red
got it
is-
right.
Okay.
What's the difference between lychee and rambutan?
Wait. Is that skin on or skin off?
The skin.
I mean, they different fruit. The outside spiky and lychee is smooth.
There you go.
Nice.
Wait, is that a question from
No,
you?
that's
Okay.
from me.
No. Number 2, which of these is the correct translation for the Greek word oregano? A, sister to tomato, B, joy of the mountain, or 3, spicy mama?
Ooh. I'm gonna say B.
Yes.
Yes.
Joy of the mountain.
That
is
sounds
the
about right.
I know.
I like spicy mama.
See, I'm not
Very-
Greek, and I got
know.
a Greek question.
Very nice. But Greek is the basis of all life. So
True or false? The famous trumpeter, Louis Armstrong, loved red beans and rice so much that he signed his correspondence, red beans and ricely yours.
True or false?
True or false?
True.
True, yeah.
I think I saw
that was
Pam wink at
confident.
me.
That was confident. Yeah.
Um,
the sense.
What is the most common casing material for stuffed dolmades?
Grape leaves.
Yes. And number 5, does Serrano ham come from Germany, Spain, or Estonia?
Spain.
Oh!
Yay!
Nice
5 out
job,
of
Annie.
5.
First time.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
you
Let's.
didn't even get any Vietnamese questions.
I know.
Yeah.
See.
Tom Douglas,
Yes.
what is the Spanish term for dried salt cod?
Bacalao.
Yes. Please name the Jewish American large yeast roll that is round but flat and has a depression in the center, and it's often sprinkled with onions before baking. Did you have them in Philadelphia?
Boy, I've been thinking of Bialy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good work. What liquors are in the drink named Grasshopper?
My mother's favorite drink.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, Mary.
Green creme de menthe
Yeah.
and white creme de cacao.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That
Those
sounds
two together?
Sure.
Wow.
You know, I had a special last summer where if you bought, I think, a corned beef sandwich, or last St. Patrick's Day, if you bought a corned beef sandwich, I made you a grasshopper
Didn't know that about
Yeah.
Mary. That's very sweet.
down in Seatown. Yeah.
Number 4. Why do people eat stinging nettles?
Because they're stupid.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
they call them stinging for a reason. I just don't get it.
Me either.
Yeah, there's
Me
so many
neither.
other things to eat.
That's correct.
Yeah.
No, and finally,
Might as well go eat poison oak.
Wait, that was the answer?
You don't get it.
I love the answer. That was stupid.
There-
I didn't know we could do that. I could do that many times.
what does the acronym RDA stand for in food labeling terms?
Well, it's Greek for recommended daily allowance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think we have a tie.
Yes.
I
5. 2, 5, and a 4.
Congratulations, Doug. Thank you for being our victim today.
Wrong,
And enjoy
Joey.
your stroll through the gift shop with looking for 3 especially tasty rubs. If you want to be part of the show like the cool Doug, you can join the community on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas and Company or buy a darn ticket at hotstovesociety.com. You can listen via podcast if you don't hear us live on Cairo. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app. The show is ably produced by Pamela Hinckley, technically produced by Sean McFadden, and our editor in studio is Sean Don't Call Me Del Torre.
Thanks for listening and have a fabulous weekend.
All right. Nice job. Thank you for being a good audience.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask one more favor. Everyone, shut up. No, kitchen team, we have to be quiet for just a minute. It was just a joke. I wasn't being mean. Don't send me an email. Hey, I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
And I'm Terry Roturo, the chef in the hat.
This afternoon on the Hot Stove Society radio show, we talk about the viral Tik Tok. I'm not going to promote that.
The viral TikTok. It's TikTok, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's tic-tacky is what it is. Hi, I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
And I'm Terry Roturo, the chef in the hat.
Rise and shine muffin options, adding umami flavor with some anchovies. What a good idea. And also creating creative vinegar infusions for perfecting your pork chop.
Pretty good.
And I
Pretty
didn't even
good.
have to say
Good radio.
TikTok.
It's a wrap.